Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Tap or Busk. This is where you cheer. Fantastic. My name's Mike Orvis. I'm a member of the promotions team here at Tap, and just a little bit of history of what's going on. Basically, what we're trying to do as promoters and staff, we're trying to bring back Tap back to the way it was, the good old days. Yes. So tonight what we've got is a variety of performers. We've got comedians, we've got singer-songwriters, we've got a guy that talks to the dead. I mean, it's all a little bit crazy. But if you like what you hear tonight, I'm not paying them because I'm a cheapskate. You pay them. So if you like what you hear tonight, there's going to be 5 minutes at the end of every performance, or during if you're feeling brave and you just drop some money into the hat, or guitar case, or hollowed out dead animal in Lee's case. So the first person we've got tonight for you is the comedy stylings of one Adam Maloney in about 2 or 3 minutes. So keep you peeled. Thank you.
Hello. I've just come to entertain you all tonight. It's not so much that they've let me out for the evening, but they've let me in, because it's the outside world that's really crazy, and inside here, where sanity actually lives. Because you see, the thing is, you may think that the restraints on us are empirical. You know, that there's no way to get out of the situation that we're in. You know, the world's a really crazy place, and there's nothing that seemingly can be done about it, right? Wrong. You see, the thing is, the restraints on us can be shed at any time. There's nothing that can hold us back, really. The only thing we have to do is apply our heart, apply our mind, apply our thinking, and apply our compassion. Because, thing is, we are all beautiful just the way we are. There's nothing that can change that. Don't let anyone tell you any different. And whenever anyone tells you that you are less than what you are, tell them to go fuck themselves. Fuck. God technology. So, what am I going to talk about today? Well, one of the things that really confuses me is the fact that a lot of people don't recognise the good things that people do. You know, one of the things that I do, if any one of you read the Kent Messenger newspaper, you'll know that I'm the guy who goes out in Maidstone Town Centre with a megaphone and a free hug sign to give people hugs to help brighten up their day, and also use a megaphone to try and encourage critical thinking and the acknowledgement that we're all beautiful just as we are, and we don't need money or materialistic shit to make us happy. Happiness is not made in China, okay? It's not. So really, tell you what, who here is familiar with any of the activism that I do with the megaphone and the free hugs? A couple, that's good. Well, considering that I was born not too far away from here and I do most of my stuff in Maidstone, that's not really surprising. But yeah, I get a lot of public heckles whenever I'm out on stage. Well, not out on the stage, but out in the middle of the high street giving out hugs. there was one guy who just walked right past me, and without even breaking his stride, he just said, "Shut your fucking mouth, mate," and just kept walking. And I'm like, just got the megaphone up, pointed it towards him, and said, "Tell you what, sir, I'll do you a favour. I will shut my mouth if you open your mind." How's that? Because it's kind of things like that that make me kind of wish that people who had closed minds also had closed mouths. Because that's the thing, you just got to open your mind to this sort of thing. Another one, there was a guy who didn't actually recognise what was written on my sign. You know, he'd say, "Oh, free hugs, what's all that about?" And I'm like, "Just to give someone a hug." And he's like, "Oh, all right, I thought it said free drugs." And I'm like, "No. There's 2 words on this sign, they're both 4 letters long. It's not free drugs, it's free hugs." Right? And he's like, "Well, you spelled it wrong." And I'm like, "What did I spell wrong?" And he's like, "Well, free is supposed to be with a TH in it." And I'm like, "Okay, so are we talking about free as in free of charge, or free as in the number?" And he's like, "Yeah, free is in the number." And I'm like, "What point would there be for me to, have a sign saying 3 hugs?" And he's like, "Well, some people might misread that, alright?" Yeah. Some people might misread a sign that says 3 hugs. Very short words, so not very difficult to misunderstand. Okay? But then again, if anyone here is familiar with the comedy of Alan Carr, I mean, I particularly don't find it extremely funny, but there was one thing that he said about the people of Maidstone, because he performed at the Upper Creek Comedy Club in Maidstone, and he thought the audience was really homophobic and racist. And he said, "I better be careful if I go back there for a book signing, but I suppose I'll be alright, because the people in Maidstone can't read." Apparently that was printed in an interview with him in the Metro newspaper. I don't know if it's accurate, but it kind of like deals with the kind of audiences I deal with every day. But yeah, essentially the reason why I do this is because I recognise that the world we live in isn't the way it could be. So, giving that message of compassion, love, and progression and sustainability, you can understand why I get cancelled by the police quite a lot. Yeah. Because the thing is, I actually got arrested for my activism in September last year. It was bullshit to top it all off, because essentially they've been trying for months and months and months to get the cuffs on me. But I'd always stand my ground and I'd ask them questions that they cannot answer. And they have to walk away. Because they're thinking, "Oh God, he's making people think, shut him up." And they try and say, "Right, well, we want to search you, we want you to move on, can you give me details?" And I'm like, "Am I obliged to give you my details?" That's the thing, right? The police require your consent in order to lay under their jurisdiction. Because when a police officer asks you the question, "Do you understand?" they're not actually using English. They're using a language called legalese, which is the language of the law society. Right? And the word understand doesn't mean comprehend. Understand means stand under. So when he says, "Do you understand me?" he's saying, "Do you stand under me?" And all you have to say is, "No." There we go. That's it. But yes, the cell that they put me in was really interesting. Has anyone been in a Maidstone police cell? Give a shout out if you've ever been in a Maidstone police cell. Wow, you people are really good. But yeah, essentially the cells in Maidstone police station are like huge cubic bottles, right? And before I entered the cell, they ordered me to remove my boots before entering and leave the boots outside the cell. And I was like, "Why do I have to take my boots off?" And he's like, "Well, so you can't take out the shoelaces and hang yourself in your cell." Wow. I'm not exactly going to go Aaron Schwartz on you, okay? But the thing is, if anyone has ever been in a police cell, you'll know that that isn't even fucking possible. There's nothing to hang yourself from. And I mean, I know that the cells have a coarse pin finish, but how the hell am I going to scale up the walls to get up there and hang myself? I mean, I'm not Spider-Man, for fuck's sake, okay? I'm an activist, I'm not superhuman. I mean, that's the excuse they give you to order you to take off your boots. But the reason they do that is to dehumanise you, to humiliate you. Because basically, you're just sat in a cell, just sitting on your alley, with no shoes on. It's dehumanising, isn't it? That's why they do it. And the justification, as it were, of them being able to put cuffs on it was supposedly that I'd said some really nasty things on a megaphone. Things that, if you're familiar with my activism, you will know that it is not something I would dare say on a megaphone. Here's one of the things that I supposedly said on a megaphone, according to a sworn statement. Right? Quote, Osama bin Laden was just doing a job. Apparently I said that. For one thing, that implies that I believe the official story of 9/11, which I don't. So, why would I say it? It's bollocks. Absolute bollocks. That's not the worst of it, but the thing is, a lot of people would call that corruption, to sort of make shit up about a human being so they can arrest them and put them in a cell for 7 hours. Yeah. It's the fact that they can't deal with the fact that people are starting to wake up and people are starting to think for themselves and realise that they don't actually need that materialistic shit to be happy. And the thing is, I was doing it outside of jewellers. Yeah, there's me standing outside of jewellers with a megaphone saying, you don't need sparkly stuff to be happy. Yeah, not good for business. That's why I was arrested. The police had to get a result for the town because I was affecting that jeweller's profits. So I have to slap the cuffs on me, silence me somehow. But yeah, I mean, if you want to check out the details of any of my police harassment, then basically just type in Maidstone Police Fail into YouTube. There's videos detailing my 8 encounters with the police. 8. One of them was my arrest. But yeah, I mean, YouTube certainly is a very interesting construct in our society because we realise that if you want to watch something, all you have to do is just type it into YouTube. How else would you have that readily access to television programming, say, for example? Maybe if you had it on VHS. Speaking as a child of the 80s, but now you can just click on it. And the thing is, YouTube is such an awesome example of the kind of sharing that we can do. I mean, any old douchebag with a camera phone can record themselves, slap it up online for anyone to see, all over the planet. What other medium before YouTube had that ability? There wasn't, really. Before the internet, but yeah, I'd say it's good that YouTube is making mainstream television programming obsolete. Because have you seen some of the shit that's on TV? Come on, seriously, the only way is Essex. That is good programming? So how is that good television? How? Oh, it's real life. No, it's not. It's shit, okay? And it's good that that kind of thing's going with the advent of the internet, okay? We need to protect it. But the thing is, I do know that the world is a crazy place. I do recognise that there's a lot of things that are going wrong, and there are certain people who try and tell you what can be done about it. And a lot of people say, oh, we need to create more jobs. No. Yeah, I mean, that's the kind of thing that a lot of unions will tell you, oh, we need to create jobs, we need growth, we need to get all these immigrants out of the country. No. Immigrants are not the problem. Do you know what the problem is? Our methods. Because the thing is, what do we develop technology for in the first place? To make our lives easier, right? So why don't we use that technology to, I don't know, make the world a better place, apply it scientifically and compassionately, follow that train of thought through to its logical conclusion, and we recognise that jobs are just prison cells. Think about it this way, right? If you were incarcerated in prison and every new inmate that came in kicked out an existing inmate, and then suddenly you get kicked out of your cell by a new inmate, do you turn around to the warden and say, do you know what, I've just been kicked out of prison, I want a new cell? You don't do that, do you? If you get freed from prison, you are free. You don't need to build more cells. And that's the thing. When people get booted out of jobs, which, by the way, are monotonous things that waste our lives, that we'd rather not do, maybe we recognise that when we're free from them, our lives can be better. Think about it. Right? We develop technology to make our lives easier, follow that train of thought through to its logical conclusion. But we recognise that we live in a labour for income system. Right? Thus, we are the slaves, we are the workers, and it's us that keeps the system going. But we've developed technology that can do that grunt work for us, that frees us up to do the jobs that truly inspire us, that truly stretch us and stimulate us. There's not many of those jobs, but the rest of us can just live our lives how we want. Wouldn't that be such a wonderful world? Oh no, we couldn't sustain a monetary system by doing that. If people are kicked out of jobs, then people have no money to consume, and thus they can't buy stuff and keep money going round and round. We've made a mistake here. We've either made one of two mistakes. We've either made the mistake of allowing technology to develop to the point of making our human labour obsolete, or we've made the mistake of creating a system that is threatened by the natural development and progression and evolution of technology, which has the potential to make our lives freer and easier. So what's the problem? Our values. Our values are the problem. But I'll give you an example of some of the really twisted values in our society. It's called body dysmorphic syndrome. Has anyone heard of body dysmorphic syndrome? It's essentially the pathological condition of being obsessed with your physical appearance and feeling like you're not good enough. And this is down to social pressures. This is down to social pressures that make us feel like we're less than what we are, so that industries can come in and say, hey look, I've got some cosmetics, this can make you beautiful. I've got some really nice sparkly clothes, this will make you beautiful. I've got all these surgical procedures that we can do on you. You know, enlarge your tits. Like any woman would need to enlarge their tits. Seriously. It's surface bullshit. It's not necessary. And culture has made us this way. Because money can be made from providing those services to actually fix the problems in our heads that they have created to begin with. But now, another example of the distortions in our culture is this thing called hoarding. Has anyone heard of hoarding? Where, normally when someone says this, you imagine like someone piling up loads of really old newspapers in their flat or in their house or something. They just keep loads of stuff. And the problem with that isn't necessarily just the act itself, because the act itself is not sustainable and it's inefficient as well. But it's also the fact of how we actually treat another parallel example of, because here's the thing, if you hoard piles of old newspapers in your house, we could be crazy, right? We say that you need help. However, if you hoard money, then we put you in charge of the fucking country. What the fuck? Seriously. There's something sort of like the logical fallacy of special bleeding. One rule for the numbers, no rule for us. And the cycle has to be broken, you know, because a lot of people, they feel apathetic. They don't care when I talk to them about things like this. So many examples of people saying, oh, I don't care. I really can't stand it when people actually display their apathy unsheathed. You know the kind of people I mean, the kind of people who you're sat down with them in the staff room of your workplace and you're having a discussion about, I don't know, 2,000 people being laid off from a job and the conversation closes with one of them saying, oh well, what can you do, eh? Can't stand it when people say that. I really can't. So, that's why I do what I do. Because I recognise that we have to change. And the thing is, there may be a lot of things holding us back, but I recognise that we do have the potential to make this world a better place. Just because it's difficult doesn't mean it's impossible. I'll give you an example. If you were at home and you were starving and you lived in the middle of nowhere and you thought to yourself, oh shit, I'm really hungry, but I have to travel a really long and complicated route to the shop in order to get food, do you say, fuck it, I'll starve? Do you say that? No, you don't. You actually get out there and you go to the shop and you get yourself some food. It's the same thing with our socio-economic system. Because here's the thing. I recognise that we have to make this world a better place, do you know why? Because this current system is based on a fantasy of infinite growth and infinite consumption, but we live on a finite planet with finite resources. There's only one other thing that exists that behaves that way. And I'm really sorry to have to use this word, cancer. Think about it. Whenever a politician or banker or economist gets on the telly and looks at you and says, in order to get us out of this recession, we need growth. That would be just like me being a doctor, sitting you down and saying, I'm afraid to say that you have cancer, but in order for you to get better, we need your tumours to grow. That's the logic that bankers, economists and politicians are using. That debt will get us out of the problem that debt got us into. How can we dig ourselves out of a hole? We can't. And that's the thing. I suppose, depending on 5 more minutes, whoa, crikey. I've really got off the point because I've actually written down a list of all the things I was going to cover. I haven't covered half of them. But I'll tell you what. There's a little theory first. I have no idea how this works. It's not a theory, actually, sorry, I'll tell you about it. It's a hypothesis. Because theory is the point of the highest stance of any precept in science. A lot of people think that theory is just an idea that you have that isn't proven. The theory is actually superior to fact, but yeah. If anyone has heard of the multiverse theory, it's the theory that basically concerns the notion of an infinite amount of universes existing simultaneously. And at the very centre of every universe there's a supermassive black hole. And down that black hole, go through that may be a one-way ticket to the singularity, but it's also the transportation method to the other universe. Wrap your head around that, right? Because recently I've been looking up about quantum mechanics. Yeah. If anyone is familiar with quantum theory, very, very interesting stuff. But what if the afterlife actually does exist, but it's not in the form that we generally think it is? Instead, we are in the afterlife right now. We are in the afterlife right now because we are somewhere along the line of a long progression and growth and evolution as we travel from parallel universe to parallel universe. Every single time, there was the Big Bang and then there was the Big Crunch comes to a head. Everything goes down the black hole, comes spewed out into the next universe, and everything starts all over again. How's about that for a theory? So, I'll tell you what, guys, I've run out of time here. If any of you have liked anything that you've heard, I've got my cap down here so you can just pop some change in there. My bus ticket to get here cost £6.70, I believe. If I get more than £6.70, I'm going to donate the excess to charity. So that's something else to consider if you're going to put some money in my cap. Alternatively, I've got some DVDs and some leaflets if you want some. There's some on the tables. But other than that, I've been Adam-Antium, and you guys have been an awesome audience. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Adam.